Hello and welcome to another edition of News Showcase. I am Priya, Tamil Nadu's first artificial intelligence news presenter. Thousands of Hindu devotees thronged the Ram temple a day after its inauguration in the town of Ayodhya. They started gathering by the temple before daybreak as the gates opened to the public at 7 in the morning. The temple will remain open till 7 p.m. with a short break in the afternoon. The temple's sanctum sanctorum contains the idol of Lord Ram, which has been placed on a marble pedestal and unveiled in a ceremony called Pran Pratishta on Monday. The temple fulfills a key election promise of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's BJP to build a shrine for Lord Ram at the site believed to be his place of birth. The town of Ayodhya received an extensive makeover in the run-up to the temple's inauguration. Leaders of the Congress party and the state government of Assam have clashed over the choice of routes for their nationwide march. Permission was denied on key routes in Guwahati, which the government said would cause traffic jams, and instead said the march can go ahead on the highways. The latest standoff came after local authorities prevented the party's leader Rahul Gandhi from visiting a temple, while the inauguration of the Ram temple was underway in Ayodhya. The Congress party's campaign, which began in the northeastern state of Manipur, will conclude in Mumbai in March, which is aimed at connecting with voters ahead of the general election in just months from now. A similar march by the Congress in 2022 was considered a major success. The government of Tamil Nadu has approved a plan to train female students in self-defense skills at state-run schools and colleges. Reports said the plan was approved during a cabinet meeting led by Chief Minister M.K. Stalin. According to reports, important decisions across a broad range of subjects were discussed at the meeting, including the outcome of the Global Investors Meet held in Chennai recently. The meeting comes ahead of key engagements, including a session of the state legislature, the state budget, as well as an overseas tour of the Chief Minister in the coming weeks. The birth anniversary of Nethaji Subhash Chandra Bose, who was a prominent figure in India's freedom struggle, was observed across India. The leader of the IJK political party, Dr. Ravi Pachamuthu, paid floral tributes to the leader at his statue on the Marina Beach in Chennai. He helped establish the Indian National Army and built alliances against the British, and he was one of the key leaders who laid the foundation for independent India. In 1923, Nethaji was elected the president of the All India Youth Congress Committee and the secretary of the Bengal State Congress. He briefly served as the mayor of Calcutta in 1930. A cold wave sweeping the north of India continues to cause disruptions to travel and routine life across cities. Heavy fog hit the Indira Gandhi International Airport in Delhi, which forced cancellation of several flights due to low visibility. Reports said many passengers were seen waiting at the airport as the temperature outside ranged between 7 and 18 degrees Celsius. The worst disruptions to air travel earlier this month forced aviation authorities to introduce new protocols for airports and airlines. The government announced what it called a war room and daily reports from airports to deal with flight delays caused by extreme weather conditions. Winters, which are intense across northern India, has posed a serious challenge to the airline industry as well as air travelers every year. A band and a marching contingent from France will take part in India's Republic Day parade on Friday, which will be attended by French President Emmanuel Macron as the chief guest. Macron is the sixth French leader to be the chief guest at the Republic Day parade. The band will have 33 members besides the 95 marchers as India and France mark 25 years of strategic partnership between the two nations. Delhi has been placed under tight security with restrictions imposed in the airspace over Delhi. Authorities have suspended takeoffs and landings at Delhi's airport during the duration of the parade over the past week. Lawmaker Krishna Devarayalu of the YSR Congress has resigned as member of the Lok Sabha, reportedly in protest, after his seat was assigned to another member in the upcoming general elections. Reports said the governing party in Andhra Pradesh was planning to allot his Narasarapet seat to a member of the backward community. Reports said Devarayalu was instead assigned the constituency of Guntur, and the resignation coming in an election year is being seen as a setback for Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy. According to reports, the lawmaker has hinted at confusion in the party's leadership ahead of the elections. He is the third MP to leave the party in recent weeks. There is speculation that more leaders in other ranks may also quit soon. A military aircraft from Myanmar, which was involved in repatriation of soldiers, overshot the runway in the neighboring Indian state of Mizoram. The accident happened when the plane, a Shanxi Y-8, tried to land at Lengpui Airport. The plane was dispatched to airlift Myanmar soldiers who fled to India while fighting guerrillas in Rakhine State. Reports quoting the Indian military said 276 soldiers reached India last week after their positions were overrun by the rebels. So far, 184 of them have been repatriated. Almost 3 years ago, the army seized power, and since then, fighting between troops and a cluster of insurgents have intensified. The Arakan Army is one of many rebel groups fighting government forces in Rakhine State on the border with India. The Canadian government has announced a reduction in international student admissions for this year in the wake of a housing crisis. The cut in global admissions was set at 35%, which is about 360,000 approvals compared to 900,000 last year. The latest measures are aimed at ensuring that students are better prepared for the actual cost of living in the country. Reports quoting Immigration Minister Mark Miller said, "The cut in admissions is a temporary policy that will be in place for 2 years, starting this month." Report said the cap has been assigned to each province based on its accommodation and housing capacity. In December, authorities doubled the cost of living requirement for international students, citing growing inflation and financial pressures faced by many international students. The Israeli army has said 24 of its soldiers were killed in Gaza after an explosion struck a building. The military said a rocket-propelled grenade fired by Palestinian militants hit the building, where the army had planted mines to destroy it. Reports said all the 21 were reservists, and it was the worst incident since the fighting began with Hamas militants in October. The incident occurred in central Gaza, close to a Jewish community on the Israeli side of the border. The army said the troops were involved in an operation to allow residents of southern Israel to safely return to their homes. On Monday, Israel confirmed that 3 officers were killed in a separate attack in southern Gaza. Finally, it is Nikki Haley versus Donald Trump in the New Hampshire polls, where voting takes place in the race for the Republican nomination. Ex-President Trump, who is a clear frontrunner, hopes to deliver a body blow to the former UN ambassador, while Haley believes independent voters in the state will be behind her to stage a stunning upset. New Hampshire is the second state after Iowa, where Trump won by a landslide which prompted businessman Vivek Ramaswamy and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to quit the race and endorse Trump. The winner of the Republican nomination will face his Democratic challenger, which is likely to be President Joe Biden, in the presidential election in November. The US and the UK have carried out fresh airstrikes against rebels in Yemen in retaliation for attacks on merchant ships in the Red Sea. The rebels have declared support for Hamas and said they targeted ships that were associated with Israel. The U.S. Defense Headquarters, the Pentagon said underground storage sites, and the rebels' missile and surveillance capabilities were hit. American fighter jets involved in the attack took off from the carrier USS Eisenhower, and the UK's Typhoon jets were supported by Voyager tankers. This is the 8th strike by the U.S. against the rebels, who control most of Yemen. A statement said the airstrike was backed by Bahrain, Canada, Australia, and the Netherlands. It was a huge year for cinema, as nominations for the 2024 Oscar takes place against the backdrop of Barbie and Oppenheimer dominating the box office. Cillian Murphy, Emma Stone, Robert Downey Jr., and Da'Vine Joy Randolph are all likely to win nominations for acting awards. Poor Things, The Holdovers, and Killers of the Flower Moon are also expected to win nominations. This year's awards ceremony will be hosted by Jimmy Kimmel in Los Angeles on March 10th. Reports said the Barbie-Oppenheimer trend saw thousands of fans visit theaters to see both films on the same day. Previously, the Oscars recognized films that did not make a big impact with the general audience. That could change this year with focus on viewing figures as well, in the wake of the 2 big hits. The U.S. space agency NASA has said a laser instrument on board one of its spacecraft orbiting the moon has successfully pinged the Vikram lander of India's Chandrayan 3 mission. It said a laser beam was transmitted and reflected between the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter and an Oreo-sized device on Vikram lander, opening the door to a new style of precisely locating targets on the moon's surface. The lander was 100 kilometers away from the orbiter in the moon's South Pole region when laser pulses were transmitted towards it last December. Retroreflectors, as the device or technique is called, can be used for many applications in science and exploration and have been in use at the moon since the Apollo era. Thank you for watching. I am Priya, Tamil Nadu's first artificial intelligence news presenter. Do tune in, same time tomorrow, for a roundup of the latest news and updates in India and around the world.